So my name is Natalie now, and I was born in London, but I live in Ghana, so I'm Ghanaian, but I'm British. I say this because obviously I'm Ghanaian because my parents are Ghanaian, but I was born here, so that gives me that British identity. But I feel I kind of belong to both places because the whole of my mom's family lives in England, but my dad's family lives in Ghana, and I moved to England, well, properly moved to England last year when I came for uni, but before then I've been in and out of England. My parents also lived here as well. They moved back to Ghana in 1993. Okay, my dad moved in 92, but my mom moved in 93 when my sister was born. So I think in terms of my upbringing, they sort of influenced me with their British influence. I think that's where that British background comes from. And when I was growing up, my friends in school noticed that I wasn't brought up in a typical Ghanaian household. Even the way I spoke, although I wasn't living in England, it was kind of obvious that I didn't have a full Ghanaian accent. So that's kind of what gave me away. And maybe the kind of things that I would say, the kind of things that I would do, and sometimes even the way I acted, how I ate and stuff, would give away the fact that I wasn't being brought up in a typical Ghanaian home. When I moved here for uni, I noticed that I wasn't as British as people back home might have assumed I was, because I'm in Nottingham for uni, and most of the black British people there, some of the stuff that they relate to, I wouldn't necessarily say that I relate to them as well, because obviously I didn't grow up here. I remember a few months back on Twitter, I can't remember the name of the hashtag, but basically just had to do with growing up in London, and that's when I realized that most of the stuff I actually honestly didn't relate to. What they say was something about them being on the bus and them coming back home from school, the kind of things that they would eat on the way back, if you don't know this, you're not British, blah 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 blah. And that's when I felt that, yeah, there's some stuff that you can only know if you were here. In Ghana as well, when I'm in Ghana, there's also some things that I should have known when I was in Ghana, but I just didn't happen to understand them because I don't know if it was my influence per se, but I just couldn't relate to them. Even with my language, Chi, that's the national language in Ghana. I can speak it, but it sounds like I'm speaking Chi in English. I don't know how to describe it, but it just doesn't sound the way it's supposed to sound if it was being spoken by a typical Ghanaian. So those are the kind of things that make me think about that. Think about in terms of so where am I actually from? I'm talking about finding my identity within my identity, but I think that's part of my identity, finding who I am. I feel home is wherever I feel comfortable or safe, and it always just happens to be where I'm not. I realized that around February this year when I was in uni, I realized that every time I was struggling in uni or something like that, I'd want to go back home, which was in Ghana. That's where my mom was, that's where my dad was, and usually they are the ones who give that comfort when I need certain things in life in general. And there was a point in time in uni where I felt unfamiliar with everything. Everything was just seeming so new to me, although I've been there for 4 or 5 months already, so I think I should have settled a bit. but that feeling of unsettlement like made me realize how far away from home, like actual home actually was. And I also see home as a place of development. Like home is usually where you develop, like even like physical development. Like where I grew up when I was younger, I feel even when I was in Ghana, I lived in Tema for the first 12 years of my life, and then I moved to Accra, East Legon for that's where I live now. And I realized that when I think of home, I think of the first place more often than the second place, because that's where most of my childhood memories are. So naturally, I'd see that place as home because that was the first place that had like my first like family structure. That was basically the place that shaped who I was as a child, which obviously shaped who I am today. So I feel like uni just gave me the chance to like have a little think about like everything, like which places that bring me happy, which places bring me joy and stuff like that. And then I went back home this summer, this place of refuge this summer. And I clocked again that when I was like, I wouldn't say mentally struggling, but when I was tired of Ghana, I wanted to come back here because I felt like this place was home. So I feel like it always just like bounces back on this kind of spectrum. I don't know if it's because I just get tired and I just want to go to the other place, but I just feel like home just seems to be wherever I'm not. I think it always just ends up being a place that I miss. That's what used to be, and that naturally always ends up being a place of comfort.
When you're here, what do you miss about Ghana?
What do I miss about Ghana? I wouldn't say my parents, because that's like definitely, but I think I always end up missing the way of life. And this particular summer made me realize how much I don't even like want to, how much I have to live in Ghana.
When you're in Ghana, what do you miss about England?
It's mainly transport I think about first. It's literally always transport I think about first, because when I'm in Ghana, like when I'm going out, I think that okay, how am I going? How am I getting back? Who am I going to see? Like this kind of things. And I think when I'm in Ghana as well, you can't just go out and say you're going out and then like you discover something to do. Like you always have to know where you're going in Ghana, and I think that's what, especially as a creative, and I think that makes Ghana quite like tedious and boring for me, because here there's some random days where I'll just go out. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'll find something to do. And because of the ease of transport and everything, it's a lot easier to do that. Like you can get lost, but because of the structure, you'll be able to find your way back. Ghana, when you're lost, that's it. You know? I want to go back to Ghana, or I'd like to move back to Ghana, because I feel that there are too many people like me here, in the sense that I feel Ghana, and even Africa in general, would remain as it is if like there aren't people who are like willing to help change things, because if the same kind of people come and go, like even in political positions, if the same kind of people come and go, that means the same kind of like processes and the same kind of like ways of handling situations should be handled the same way. And I think especially in the creative field and everything, I'd like to be like part of the generation that like tries to change things in Ghana.